Good evening, everyone, and welcome so much to this event. This is the first event of its kind ever in this area, and we're just delighted that so many of you have come out. I want to welcome all of you here tonight who came out on a rainy night, and also welcome our radio audience. The radio stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting are carrying this program as well. And welcome to those of you who will watch this on Pike TV. We're glad to have you with us. We know that the reason everyone is here tonight is because they care about animals. That's the bottom line. I'm Cindy Mae Johnson, and I'm with East Kentucky Broadcasting, but tonight I'm wearing the hat of the Appalachian ASPCA. There are a number of other people here who are affiliated with our organization. Those of you that are in the room with the SPCA, will y'all just raise your hands? If you have any questions or want to know anything about what we do, please talk to any of the SPCA people. We'll be glad to help you. The reason, though, that we've all come is to hear our speakers tonight, speaker and another special guest. And before I go much farther, I want to tell you who you're going to hear from. Denise Jones is here tonight. She is the Animal Control Officer for Shelby County, Kentucky. Denise, would you stand up, please? She does not want to talk, but this is Denise. Give her a hand, please. And with Denise is Kelly Jalecki. Kelly is the founder and director of the Shelby County No-Kill Mission. Kelly, we're going to bring her up to speak. She doesn't want to stand up. She's going to come up here and speak to you in just a moment. Denise is also, by the way, in addition to being the Animal Control Officer for Shelby County, Kentucky, she's the founder and director of Woodstock Animal Foundation. To give you a very brief history, and then we're going to get to the presentation that I think all of you want to hear of how this came to be tonight, why we have this gathering. About 4 years ago, our organization, the Appalachian ASPCA, was formed by a small group of individuals, all volunteers, who have one single goal in mind, and that is to stop the needless killing of animals in the Pike County Animal Shelter. So that we're all clear on what we're talking about, we don't use the word euthanasia. In the dictionary, you can find it. Euthanasia means a mercy killing, to put an animal out of its suffering. What we're talking about is killing healthy, adoptable animals, and in some cases, sick or injured animals who are redeemable, who can be adopted into families and into homes. We believe those animals, all of them, deserve a chance to live. And we want to stop what's happening now, which according to the most recent statistics that I've heard, more than 50% of the animals who go into the Pike County Animal Shelter don't make it out alive. Now, clearly, that does not mean that we're just doing euthanizing. That means animals are being killed because the shelter's crowded, or because they've run out of room, or they've reached a limit. That's what we think we can stop. And here's how we know that we can, because it is being done in other places. About 3 years ago, a man named Nathan Winograd came to Shelbyville to speak, to do a seminar on the No-Kill Mission. And Nathan is someone who started a no-kill organization and started a no-kill community, and he has done it in multiple places across the country. So some of us from the SPCA went to hear him and see what he had to say. We listened, we bought his books, and we were sold. It can be done. It is being done. Can't say something's impossible if it's being done somewhere else. We, the SPCA, continued to rescue dogs and to hold spay-neuter clinics with the help of Woodstock Animal Foundation. We've rescued and fostered and transported and done a lot of those things, but it's a tiny drop in the bucket. In order to make the sea change that needs to be made, because caring people like you and me and all of us want these animals to have a chance at life, we've got to embrace the bigger change. And we, the SPCA, attended the National No-Kill Conference in Washington, D.C. last May. It was an amazing experience. I wish all of you could have been there and seen it and heard Nathan Winograd speak. You can read his books. You can go online to the website. It's No-Kill. That's all you got to have. All you got to Google to find. But more importantly, it's when you hear about it in action and see these results. And that's what Kelly is going to share with you in just a moment. Her presentation is going to be incredible. I think you're going to learn some things. You're going to see how they're doing it, which means it's how we can do it. And after her presentation, we're going to open the floor up to questions or comments from the audience, because this is going to require everyone to be involved in. And we just so much appreciate the fact that you're here. Thank you all for coming. Right now I want to bring Kelly up so she can do the presentation. Please give her a warm Eastern Kentucky welcome.
Okay. Is this on? Can you all hear me? Okay. This is Deacon. Deacon is, you're going to see him in some of the video. Deacon is a service dog. He is almost 4 years old now. He's one of our first saves. He came into the shelter at 7 weeks of age, vomiting gravel. I'm a volunteer. I'm the director, but it is a volunteer position. I really have a full-time job outside the animal rescue as well. But I got the call at work saying they had a dog that was vomiting gravel. What did I want to do? And as director, I make call on who gets treated and who doesn't, which means everybody gets treated. But long story short, Deacon had at 7 weeks of age, he had 3 surgeries in 15 days, had parvo, lost over a third of his intestines, and was on IV fluids for 6 weeks and didn't eat. He has since gone through all the training, service dog, he does agility, and he's the spokesperson for the no-kill mission, and Deacon means messenger. So, and he goes everywhere with me, DC, he flies. So that's the little about him. Now, let's Okay. Shelby County is the first county-run, government-owned, open admission shelter in the state of Kentucky to become no-kill. We just celebrated our 5th year of being no-kill this past May 28th. And to say it's been easy, it hasn't been easy. Every day is a struggle, but would we change anything? No, we'd do it all over again. That's Deacon. So whenever somebody says, oh, you're a no-kill, you're in a county. You must not take in ferals. You must not take in pit bulls. You must only take in dogs. Well, that's not true. We take in everything. Our doors are always open. They say you're a small shelter, so it's easy. We take in about 1,800 animals a year. And like I said, the doors are always open. We can't say we're full. We can't say, oh, we have too many pit bulls. We have too many beagles. We, are overrun on cats. We always have to take everything in, sick and injured. And the thing I'm most proud about our shelter is we take our animals back. And that doesn't mean just the ones that come to our doors. If we adopt out an animal and it ends up in another county shelter, even if it's out of state, we have gone as far as New York to get our animals back. We take everything back. We take responsibility for that animal for life. How big is the county? The population is 42,000. The shelter is 5,000 square feet. Actually, it's 30 kennel runs, 10 puppy cages, and 45 cat cages. That's what is on paper, but those change daily. We think outside the box, so some days that might be 30 puppy cages and 60 cat cages. Depends on how full the women's bathroom is, or the storage closet, or the baby pool that we keep as a cage. The building in the back, it looks like a barn. That actually used to be the old shelter. We used to use that as our holding spot for dogs on transport, but we've lost that because we can no longer heat it. Where is Shelby County? It's way out there. No, actually, it's not really accessible. It's off the beaten path. We do take cows, goats, livestock. Those were some of the horses we had. We do have 5 parking spaces in the front of the shelter and 7 running along the length of the shelter. So we're moving up in the world. Everybody says, so you do no kill, so you must spend a lot of money. Not. We have 3 full-time employees. It's actually $142,000 annual budget. It's been cut. And people will say 3 full-time employees. Those are 3 ACOs that are responsible for animal control, animal care, and adoptions. So everybody says, how do you do that when you have 200 animals in the shelter? Volunteers. And that's where the No-Kill Mission, my group, comes in. A little bit of history. In 2007, we took in 1,500 animals. We had a 78% live release rate for dogs and 50% for cats. We started the No-Kill Mission in May of 2008. And the first year, we had a 92 overall save rate. Soon as we announced that we were no-kill and that we had achieved the 1-year mark, our intake increased significantly. We have a feeling a lot of animals were being dumped over the county line because we were considered safe. And we did have some panleukopenia breakout in cats, so we lost more cats than we should have that year. So our live release rate dropped to 90%. We rebounded the following years, 95%, 97%. And in July of 2011, we actually started taking dogs from Spencer County. So we're doing 2 counties for dogs right now. Last year, we surpassed all our expectations. We had a 99.5% live release rate for cats and a 99% live release rate for dogs for 2 counties and 100% for other animals. So we always get, so you must just get the cream of the crop. Unfortunately, we don't. We get a lot of illness, injured, hoarding cases. We get it all. So how did we accomplish no-kill? It's really no secret. We'll let the cat out of the bag. We'll tell you. We use the no-kill equation. It started in May 2008 with a dog called Tyson. He was riddled with buckshot, and we had an adopter on the East Coast for him, but he was not altered, and he needed to be altered before we would release him. And any county shelter, when you donate money, it goes into the sinking fund, and then a check is then generated weeks, months down the road. Well, by that time, it was too late to get Tyson out. So the wheels started turning in my head. About the same time, I read a book by Nathan Winograd called Redemption, and it made sense. At that time, I was affiliated with the Shelby County Humane Society, which is a limited admission shelter, and was getting the daily emails, dies today, hurry, that everybody gets, and couldn't understand why the shelter, not even a mile down the road, was killing, and here we are, a no-kill shelter, wasn't able to help this other open admission shelter. And when I started talking to the director and the employees, we got all the usual excuses. Not enough volunteers, not enough money, not enough time. Everybody's heard it. And it just didn't settle with me. There's a way. So I took what I read with Nathan and approached the director of the Humane Society and said, what if I started my own program under the Humane Society called the No Kill Mission, and we would work towards making the shelter a no-kill shelter. And the first thing was, we don't have the money. Don't worry, I'll take care of that. We'll fundraise. We don't have the time. Don't worry, I'll be responsible for that. So then I was like, okay, fine, shut her up, let her do what she wants. So the animal control officer at the shelter and I approached the county officials and had to get the buy-in from them. So anything that has to do with politics, if you improve the image, and it could be an improvement for their campaign platform, of course they wanted to do it, especially if they can gain community support. You can save lives. How cool is that on your platform to get up there and when you're running again next year to say, hey, I dropped the euthanasia rate. I saved 20 puppies. And the biggest selling factor was no cost to the county. Big selling point. So the next factor was teamwork. We needed to get everybody to work together. It wasn't animal control and no-kill mission. It was a teamwork approach. We worked together to save lives. Face it, anytime you do something different, it's scary. Everyone likes everyone in our county. Not. There's a lot of people that I would be hard-pressed to help if I saw them bleeding. I'd probably step over them. But during the day when we're helping animals, everybody works together for that common goal. And then when we leave, we leave. We don't have to go out and eat with them. We don't have to break bread. We don't have to do kumbaya. We achieve our goal and we go on. We agree to disagree, but we agree that we're going to save animals. And it's not us versus them. A lot of communities have gone in, volunteer groups have gone in with this, like, I'm going to conquer everything. And they'll say, you're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. And then they bring in the news media and they, oh, look at this, horrible conditions. And all that does is build barriers, builds walls that are hard to break down and hard to gain access. This is a team approach. And mistakes are opportunities to learn, not hinder future. We all make mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but each mistake I learn from, and then we say, okay, what 2 ways that I can do or I can improve to make this work next time? Dedication and commitment. Everybody thinks that we're some big group. We're actually a core group. Our board is 6 board members, and we have a core group of volunteers of less than probably 14 at any given time. And we accomplish big things because we have to work together. We can't wait for someone else to do it. Everybody always says, well, if somebody could do this, you've got to be that somebody. If you sit back and wait for somebody to post or somebody to jump in and start the spay-neuter program or whatever you want done, guess what? 2 years down the road, you're still going to be in the same position saying, gosh, somebody needs to start this program. The community, everybody wants to point fingers at the community and say, the reason why we have too many animals or the reason why we have this is the community, the irresponsible community. But then when we need help, what do? We ask the community for money. We ask the community to come out and adopt. We ask the community to come and volunteer. These are the same people that you have turned and said, you're irresponsible, you don't care, you're pointing the finger, but then you want their help. So you need to enroll the community. In Shelby, we do community events. We offer free spay-neuter. Last year we did 3 free spay-neuters, and we fixed on the upwards of 300 cats and 12 pit bulls free. We slid them under the table. Flyers, you need to get flyers out. You need to get on Facebook. You need to get internet, TV, PSAs, whatever. If you don't get your message out there, you don't tell people what you're doing, how can you expect them to enroll and help you? We do our fair share of pleas and updates. I'm sure some of you have seen our pleas and updates. You need to maximize exposure. One of the first things we did when we started the No-Kill mission is we extended our business hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays to 7 so the community could come and help, volunteer, walk dogs, adopt. Saturdays, the shelter was only open 8 to 12. Most people on Saturdays weren't getting to the shelter till 11 or 11:30. And then as they're closing, people are coming in at 1 o'clock. So now there's all-day hours on Saturday, which has helped people come reclaim, adopt, volunteer. We've secured off-site adoptions, which is a key. A lot of people won't come to a shelter because of the negative image they have of a shelter, going in, seeing all these animals, and they can't help all of them. They can only help one, or they can't take any of them home. So they'll just stay away altogether. But off-site adoptions, you take the animals to, for instance, PetSmart, Petco. We take them to Rural King, Tractor Supply. When people pick up supplies, their cat litter or their food, take a dog to Tractor Supply, Rural King with a little Adopt Me banner. And then make sure you have your business cards. Oh, would you like this? And that dog may not get adopted, but by talking to the person or having a presence at an off-site place, you might find out that this person is looking for a beagle. Really? A beagle? We only have 40 at the shelter. So then you arrange to bring the beagle to the off-site adoption or get them to come to the shelter. Like I said, newspaper, internet, and yes, we do have internet in Shelby County. Denise still hasn't figured out how to use it yet, but we do have it. In-house spay-neuter, we've been very lucky. We have a operating room, and we have 2 doctors on our board, as well as a couple vets that will come to the shelter once a week, sometimes twice a week. We do in-house spay and neuter. All our animals are fixed before they leave. We don't count on the spay-neuter vouchers. They don't work. They're $40, and if you take any animal to any vet clinic in Shelby or the surrounding areas, it's a lot more than that. You're counting on the person to make up the difference, and you're counting on the person to actually take the animal to the vet's office during business hours when a lot of people work the same hours that the vet's open. So we've just taken that out of the equation altogether. So if it can be fixed, rabbits, guinea pigs, we don't do birds or reptiles, but we do goats and horses. Everything that can be fixed is fixed before it leaves. Mandatory, everybody said, if we only had mandatory spay-neuter, we wouldn't have this problem. Mandatory spay-neuter actually does not work. It's shown it does not work. Because what happens is you then impound animals that aren't fixed, and you tell the person, you can't have your animal back until you fix them, or you can't have your animal back until you pay the fine. You know what they say? Fine. They go out and get a new one. And guess what? Now you've got another animal in the shelter that you're going to have to find a home for. So it's counterproductive. And the biggest thing about mandatory spay-neuter, Ellen Jefferson, from the director of Austin Pets Alive, actually did the largest spay-neuter program in Austin, Texas. For 10 years, she did Emancipet and was doing upwards of 10 to 20,000 spay-neuters a year. And she looked over a 10-year period to see how her work was affecting the euthanasia rate at the shelter. It did not affect it one bit. So spay-neuter is important, but it's not the end-all, be-all. So what Ellen did then was start focusing on the programs that do lower the euthanasia rate, foster care, off-site adoptions, reclaim. Low cost works for some, but not for all. So we have some low cost clinics in our facility, in our area, but some people can't afford that, especially if they've got 20 cats. So we do free, and we don't check income. We don't make them produce, you know, any of their government papers. If you need it, come and we'll fix your animal. We've done that for 3 years now, and yes, we do have some people that drive up with the Lexus and the Coach purse, but the way we look at it is that person wasn't going to take their animal to get fixed anyway. They didn't value the spay-neuter, so, but we don't penalize the majority for the one. So, foster care, this is the ultimate important part, I think, because foster care helps extend the walls of the shelter. It helps the population of animals that don't need to be at the shelter, like your neonates, you're sick, you're injured. It improves quality of care, prevents illness, especially in the little neonates. Socialization, when you bring that animal up for an off-site adoption event, you have the foster parent say, house trained, gets along with cats, doesn't get along with cats, gets along with kids. And one of the biggest things when people come to the shelter, and you can ask Denise, they'll say, is the dog housebroken? Well, they're in an indoor-outdoor kennel run. You know, we can't predict it. And they're like, I don't know. But, you know, how cool is it to say the dog's housebroken, this, and this? Gets adopted a lot faster. I got to tell a funny story. The little guy on the bottom, the dog, actually has an IV hooked up to him, and he's in the back of my car. He was an amputation. And I got off work and had to pick him up at the vet's office. So it's a 100-pound dog. So my vet and I carry him out to the car. We get him out to the car, drive home. Well, I live by myself with my animals, and it's now 9 o'clock at night, dark. Can't get a hold of anybody. So the dog is actually on a narcotic drip because it's an amputation. So I couldn't leave the dog in the car at night with a narcotic drip. So I ended up sitting out in the car most of the night, dozing on and off with my laptop. My neighbors kept looking out the window at me like, what's she doing now? So then the next morning when the dog was a little bit more awake and I was able to ambulate, I could get the dog out. But just little things like that. Ferals, what to do with them. This is one of our vets who wants to make feral catching an Olympic sport. She can catch about any feral cat that's loose in the shelter. What do we do with ferals? Well, we consider they are adoptable. We have a barn cat program, which we offer them free. They're fully vetted, and they have to agree that they're going to feed them, that they're going to acclimate them properly, and they're going to get them vet care if they need it. When they come in, we try to put them in a designated area away from the general population, and we try to fix them as soon as possible and get them out so they're not in there. We do not take them to offsite spay-neuter. Those are the ones we definitely do in-house. Aggressive animals, the biggest thing is, are they truly aggressive? Any animal that comes into the shelter should not be judged when it walks through the doors. It's a stressful time. Evaluations, this is like a whole day seminar. Basically, is the behavior predictable or unpredictable? All these animals look like they're aggressive, and actually the one in the bottom corner was a feral dog that was aggressive, but actually rehabbed and is in a home right now and is the sweetest thing. The other two, the one on the top is just, that's how he smiled, and the one on the bottom, that's the way he talked. Never bit anybody. Wish he would have bit that guy, but anyway. Pit bulls, we do have our fair share of pit bulls. But the biggest thing is you don't promote them as pit bulls. You promote them as dogs. You don't put them at a different standard than the other dogs. When you do, then it perpetuates the stereotype if you label them differently. Big thing with pit bulls, they have 2 eyes, a nose, a tail, and 4 legs. They do not have locking jaws. And there's been no study on the jaw strength, how they'll say, oh, 600 pounds per pressure or whatever, like the Steve Irwin alligator, crocodile hunter stuff. It's all hype. There is no increased bite risk with pit bulls. When you look at the bite studies, they're actually way down the list. The dogs that people want most often are actually up at the top of the list. You got your little Chihuahuas, your Dachshunds, your Jack Russells. Pit bulls actually do better on behavior tests than a lot of other dogs. What we've done in Shelby too is we've done some CGC training. We'll put them through training, and then they'll have their little CGC certificate, which makes them a little bit more adoptable. People are like, oh wow, it's already CGC certified. The other thing is some dogs may look pitty, which is kind of funny, but we can do DNA. We'll get the test kits, the DNA test kits that you can get online or you can get at PetSmart, and we'll do DNA tests on them, and a lot of them will come back this bizarre. I mean, terrier, lab, boxer. So you have a little certificate that's printed out with this dog that looks pitty, but it's not. According to the DNA, it's this, this, and this. So when these people come in and say, I really want this dog, but my apartment doesn't allow pit bulls, guess what? It's not a pit bull. Here it is right here. You can show your apartment and your insurance company. So you can, the test kits are like $75, $80, but well worth it. Improving care. We have cleaning protocols, go to paper dishes, French fry dishes. Down in the corner here, we have one of our volunteers taking dogs to off-site training. Intake protocols, all our animals are vaccinated on intake. Comfort measures, we do bedding, toys, music. We do supplements for our old dogs and old cats, the glucosamine, chondroitin, Lubricin. What do we do with the sick and injured? What do you think we do? We treat them just like anybody else. They get whatever they need to get them over whatever the illness or injury so they can be adopted. And that is Deacon up there after his first surgery. And like I said earlier, you need to get on your soapbox. You need to let the public know what you're doing. If you let the public know, then they'll be like, hey, that's something I can do. Or, you know what, I could probably give them a better suggestion. But if you're just in this little enclosed building that you don't let your light shine outside the building, you can't expect to succeed. Off-site adoptions. That has been one of our biggest things that we've done over the last year. We've been doing PetSmart. And the number of donations, the number of volunteers has just been incredible. Just being there talking to people, and they're like, oh, I don't want to work at the shelter. And I'm like, oh, can you take pictures? What? Take pictures of the animals up here and promote them. We had an elderly gentleman that's retired that came and was going to call the news media because he's come up to PetSmart twice. And 2 of the cats in the cages there didn't have water. And PetSmart is supposed to take care of the cats for us, and then we go at night and just tidy up. So when I got there that night, they're like, oh my God, this guy is going to the news media. And I'm like, and there he is. He appears. And so I was all ready to give my little song and dance, and he's going on. And finally he said, you know, I decided I couldn't gripe unless I was the solution to the problem. So I'm going to start volunteering. I kind of stood there like, oh my God, I've never had it this easy. So this elderly gentleman comes now twice a week to PetSmart, and he helps clean. Now, granted, it takes him an hour to do a cage. He's slow as molasses, but he has found homes for 2 of our cats that we've had into our program for over a year. He's taken on his personal mission to go to his church group, to go to his wife's cooking club with pictures of the cat and talk about the cats and talk them up until they found a home. So in a 6-week period that this man's been volunteering, he's gotten 2 of our long-termers adopted. And just by coming and talking to them. Foster care. Never have enough fosters. People will say, well, I thought you had 20 fosters. Yeah, now we're down to 6. What happened to them? Well, there's a thing called foster failure where people can't give up the foster. And people are like, oh, that's horrible. Well, no, not actually. I mean, the animal got a home. That just means we need to go out and recruit more fosters. And they can be foster failures too. And then that animal gets a home and you find some more fosters. We do a lot of promotion and specials. We always do 2 is better than 1. Kittens, we always do 2 for 1. Adults, 2 for 1. For about 3 years, we didn't have adoption fees for adult cats at the shelter to get our numbers down. Did that degrade the animal? Did it lower our standards? No. We had the same adoption criteria, same process. We just waived the adoption fee. And you'll find that when you waive the adoption fee, inevitably they'll turn around and give you a donation that was more than the adoption fee to start with. So, gently used. Bonnie Brown, if you Google Washoe County, Nevada Humane Society, she's got a lot of promotions. Every holiday there is a promotion out there for an animal. We do free, we are starting finally our food bank. We have people that in this day and age can't afford to feed their animals, and they turn their animals in, and it's a gut wrencher. And a lot of times they're too proud to tell you that the real reason they're turning them in is because they can't afford to feed them. They can't afford to get vet care. So the person at the intake desk is got to be the person that intervenes and is like, wait a minute, you know, what's the real reason here? We have a lot of animals that don't even enter our shelter. Now, Denise is at the counter, and she'll be like, oh, wait a minute, you need food? And we'll go in the back, we'll get food for a couple weeks. Sometimes it's just a couple weeks they need. Or, oh, you'll keep the cat if you get it fixed. This is their 8th litter. I can fix the cat. Will you come back later today? Now, sometimes it gets a little dicey if you're not supposed to fix client animals, community animals on government property. It's that liability thing in case the animal dies. So sometimes you might have to have them surrender the animal and then come back and adopt the animal later. But you got to kind of think outside the box. What's in the best interest here? Okay, I'm just one person. I hear this all the time. Well, I'm just one person. Okay, I have a full-time job. I'm a nurse practitioner. I also have a very large number of animals at my house that I foster. I take all the special needs and medically fragile. Do spay-neuter clinic. I can go on and on. I'm responsible for the PetSmart site, so I'm at PetSmart every day as well. One person makes one decision, and the outcome could be phenomenal. For instance, okay, one guy says, I'm going to put a grass skirt on. The next guy goes, hey, I can put a grass skirt on, but I can one-up you. I can put a coconut bra on. The next guy goes, now how am I going to outdo this? So you know he's going to come up with something even bigger and better. And that's how the momentum starts. That's how the no-kill equation works. You open one door, which opens 2 more doors, which opens 3 doors, and the possibilities are endless. So change will happen. How and when depends on you. It is an ongoing battle. Once you achieve it, it's not like, okay, I'm done. No, it just means you go on. Don't wait for someone to make the changes. This is my family. They're trying to figure out how to use a wine bottle opener. And after about 15 minutes, the 12-year-old came up and showed them how to do it. Pretty sad. You are the one that can make a difference. Believe in yourself and others. And that has been the hardest thing for me because being in the animal rescue, you always see the bad stuff. And you tend to focus on the bad stuff, the abuse, the neglect. But you tend to forget that one sick one, there's 20, 30, 40, 50 healthy ones that come into your program, go, get adopted and go out with no big hoopla, but they just kind of go on. Not everyone is bad. You just tend to remember the bad. And that's real important when you're out talking to the public, too. You never want to say something negative out in public because the negative is all they're going to hear. You could talk about, we saved 50,000 animals, and then there's one lady was really mean. All they're going to remember is the one lady was really mean. They're not going to hear the 50,000. People like to talk about the bad stuff. So don't even give them that opportunity. Just always positive. And when you don't put your good foot forward, and when you think that everyone is bad, then you're going to lose out in all areas. Don't dream about it. Make it happen.
Kelly, thank you so much, and thank all of you who are here to see this. I have to ask the question, and I'm sure there are questions and comments, and we're going to take them. I really feel emotional about this. This is a passion. Who here agrees with me? Pike County, Kentucky can be no kill. Clap your hands. Make some noise. Thank you. Because we can. And if Shelby County can, Pike County can, and we're going to. That's the key. We just have to make it happen. So Andrew Joyce, my co-host on the morning show on Daybreak, is here. Andrew's got the mic down there, and he can get it to you. If you have a question or a comment, if you'll just raise your hand. Denise is available to answer questions, as is Kelly, and I'll be happy to answer anything.
Obviously, the county officials have to have a hand in saying some things, but do you have free reign to do a lot of your own decisions? Are you micromanaged by the county officials?
Okay. We're a group of volunteers, and so basically what we do, our role is we provide the foster care. We do all the off-site adoptions. We do all the off-site events. We provide vaccines. We do the spay-neuter clinic. We provide all the emergency care, volunteers, socialization, the DNA test, the training. Denise wears many hats. Denise is also on the board of No Kill Mission too. So she's Woodstock, Animal Control, and No Kill Mission. So Animal Control, basically their role, when we started, the cats, 1 cat per cage. Cats were not vaccinated on intake. They did not get dewormer, and they were not feline leukemia tested. So when somebody adopted a cat, it was a crapshoot, basically, what they got. So one of our first things is we vaccinated, feline leukemia tested, so we could get cats together. So most people that have a cat usually adopt another cat. So we have to know if they get along, they can coexist. So that was one of the first things we did. And it also went from you can only have 45 cats to now we can have 90 plus cats. So we kind of fill in all the gaps. Animal Control does animal control. They do the intakes. They provide the building. They provide the basic care of the animals, food, water, shelter. Right.
Hang on just a minute. We got to have you on mic because we're on the radio. Now, what's your question again?
I wasn't talking just about the animal control officers. I'm talking about like your county judge, your magistrates. I mean, are they?
Right. We have their full support because it's a community. I mean, it's the whole county. So basically, if we have an aggressive animal that comes in, it's a group effort. It's a group decision. It's not animal control says, got an aggressive dog, it's going down. I mean, we talk about it. It's a team. We're a team. Animal Control has, I guess you could say, legal responsibility. They own the animal, but we, work with them, with the animal. It's a team effort. That's all I could say. Like I said, we don't always agree, and at the end of the day, we agreed that we're going to disagree on things, but we all come together to a common goal, and that's to find the animal a home.
We got another question or a comment?
Actually, I have 2 questions. One is, how do you raise your $140,000 a year? And the second question is, what happens when the shelter does become, that dreaded word, overcrowded?
Okay, the $142,000, that's taxpayers. That's what pays the county employees. That's what pays the electric, the mortgage, the dog food. That basically is the bare bones. What all our stuff is fundraising. Please, bake sales, merchandise. And we raised about $48,000 last year.
And if I could just interject, $140,000 is not that much different. As a matter of fact, it's less than the Pike County Animal Shelter budget. We're significantly less. We're over $200,000 budgeted for Pike County. And then the next question was about what do we do when you're overcrowded?
Okay. Yeah, we scramble. We think outside the box. We foster care, off-site adoptions. This past weekend was PetSmart's big adopt-a-thon. PetSmart has embraced us. We had cages all around. Every orifice at PetSmart had an animal stuck there. When our cages are full, well, we think outside the box. We'll move a cage up to the front office, the women's bathroom, pleas for more foster care. it's just not an option. I mean, we've taken killing off the table. So if that option's not there, you're going to have to find some way out of it. So, I mean,
We've raised money to board animals.
yeah, we board.
Come on the mic, Denise.
We've raised money to board animals, and it's temporary. When you're overcrowded, I mean, it's not forever. I mean, you get a couple extra dogs in, a couple extra cats, and then, you know, you have a good weekend of adoptions. And so then you kind of break down the cages that you set up, and you're kind of back to, you know, either a little less than full or full, but you're pretty much always full. And so you're always working that pace of off-site adoptions, calling past adopters, you know, everybody that walks in, who do you know? Do you know someone that would be interested in this pet? So you're constantly working to save lives.
Okay. Another question? Did that answer that question? All right. Anybody else got a question or a comment? If you raise your hand.
How many active fosters do you normally have at one time?
How many active fosters?
The question was how many active fosters. Cat fosters, we have 6, which isn't a lot. Dog fosters, it vacillates between 4 and probably 10. We do have the luxury because Denise is with Woodstock, so that's a whole separate animal rescue. So she's got her set, and then No Kill Mission's got her set. So a lot of times it's a juggling thing. Okay, I've got 2 of these, you take this. It's kind of like, okay, where can we put them?
Okay, so let's say how many animals do you average a week coming into the shelter?
Well, we take in 1,800 a year, so you know this time of year we're still getting small neonate kittens. So this is our busiest time.
So-
Some days we may get 10 to 20 in, some days none. But 1,800 is been our basic average a year.
I apologize for the sound, but I do want to thank the University of Pikeville for having us here tonight. All right, any other questions or comments? Please raise your hand, and Andrew will get to you if you've got anything to ask. Here, we got one in front, Andrew, in front. Here he comes. Make him walk for it.
To what extent do you all use other rescues?
That's a good question. We have a couple rescues on the East Coast that we work with, and we have local rescues that we work with. And it's not a lot. You know, like we probably move 8 to 10 animals a week out of the shelter, either into homes or other rescues, or foster care and then into homes. So, like I said, it's consistent, and it's not easy. It's every single day that you work really hard to save those lives. But at the end of the day, you sleep good at night because you did the right thing. And so what you want to do, and I think that I can speak for Kelly too, we have really worked really hard, and we've gotten really tired, and we've really realized that what I say to people now, especially my new volunteers, I'm like, look, I don't want you to burn yourself out, because they come in and they're going to conquer, and they're going to go to every adoption weekend, and they're going to go, 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 and I'm like, I know what that's like because I've done it. So I'm like, look, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to really think about your family, your schedule, your work, your kids, whatever it is that you do in your life, and then take what volunteer time you want. Let's see what that's going to be, and let's see what you really love to do. Do you love to come in here to the shelter and foster animals? Do you want to go to PetSmart offsite adoptions? Do you want to stay in Shelby County and go to one of the offsite adoptions there? Can we count on you every other Saturday? Can we, you know, and really have people take ownership of it, and then fulfill on that, not get burnt out, and then enroll a friend or a family member, and then they enroll a family member, and then you've got a lot of people working that same goal, and then nobody burning out, and it does work. It really does work.
I would like to add, and I should have said this in the beginning, that these ladies drove here tonight from Shelby County to do this because of their passion and because they want to share their success and help us achieve the same thing. They're turning around and driving back tonight, and they brought animals with them because those animals needed care and they couldn't be left. What it takes is people like this who have this intense drive to save the animals to be involved on the day-to-day basis. So are the people at our shelter this passionate? Are the people who are the animal control officers at our shelter this dedicated to making sure that we stay no-kill? It's a big part of the equation. I hope you all got the handouts out front One is a checklist for the shelter. If you don't know those answers, call and ask. It's your Pike County Animal Shelter. And if we can answer any of them for you, those of us who've had some experience at the shelter will be happy to. The other handout is a booklet called No Kill 101. And that's accessible to you as well as many other tools at Nathan Winograd's site, the nokilladvocacycenter.org. All right, any other quick questions? Because we only have a few minutes, and I'm sure these ladies will stay for just a little bit to speak to people individually, but before we have to leave the air.
What is your adoption criteria, and how do you make sure that the animals are going to a good home?
We have an adoption application. The No Kill Mission has their own separate one, and then the shelter has one that's not as in-depth. But what's happened with Denise taking on her animal control role, she is able to fill in the blanks that the one at the shelter doesn't have. But basically, the key, it's not so much your adoption application, it's talking to the adopter and finding out what specifically they're looking for. We'll get somebody that sees a Siamese. Oh, I want a Siamese. I've always wanted a Siamese. Well, then you start talking to them, and Siamese is not really what they need in their life. Or I've always wanted a black lab, and they have a small apartment. That's really probably not the dog, and they're gone all day. So the adoption criteria is listening to what they want and what they are capable of providing for the animal, and then finding the correct animal. You don't just deny them, say, nope, you can't have the Siamese. No, the Siamese isn't the best, but take an interest. What would be the best animal for your situation that's going to make you the happiest, what's going to make the most successful, and then you'll find out that you can have as many adoption applications as you want, and on paper everybody looks good, but when you start talking to them, you'll find out that that's not the best fit, and doing PetSmart adoptions, which I've actually had to do all the adoption applications myself. In the last year and a half, we did almost 300, and we've only had 2 returns with cats, which is phenomenal. Denise is the same way. I mean, if you talk to them, you'll find out.
Yeah, when I just talk to people, I find out what they're looking for. And being in a rural area, a lot of people don't have a lot of fences, so we talk about how the hounds really don't stay home and they don't really recall really well. They're great dogs, they're great with kids, but they don't stay home. And that's why we have a bunch of them in our shelter. So when you do the education stuff, it really works. And I tell people all the time, I want you to find the right dog who's going to be a companion for you, part of your family, someone you're going to love, someone that someone's going to offer you money for, and you'll never give up that dog. So because if all the dogs were in the right home and matched with the right family, I'd be out of a job, and I'd be really happy about that.
We have time for one last question. Andrew, behind you.
Well, this is a question for you, Cindy. I've listened carefully, and it sounds doable. It sounds realistic. But where do we go from here?
I think the first step, you ask, where do we go from here? I think it's important for our county officials, and Pike County Deputy Judge Executive John Doug Hayes is the person responsible for our Pike County Animal Shelter. He had planned to be here tonight and had assured me he would be. I'm sorry that I don't see him here. But it is at their discretion to decide that they're going to work with all of us, people like you and us, who want to make Pike County no-kill. And all it really takes is for the shelter director, and we don't have a director, we have an acting director right now, and for our deputy judge executive to agree that we are taking killing off the table. Take that out of the equation. Once you no longer are going to put poison in the veins of healthy adoptable animals, you have to find other solutions. And when I see these faces of all of you looking at me, and I believe that you were as touched as I was by the presentation, I believe that we have the resources and the compassion to make this happen if we can just all work together to do it. But we can't just give it lip service. We can't say we all agree we want to save animals and then walk away from here tonight and leave it at that. So I think my challenge or my charge to everyone here is to make your voice heard. Call John Doug Hayes. He's your deputy judge executive, and tell him you want the Pike County Shelter to be no-kill, whatever it takes. And there are plenty of people like our SPCA people that are here and other rescue organizations and individuals and plenty of people here who will help us make it happen. At any given time, there are plenty of us, I know, who would stand up right now and stop an animal from dying. We would save that animal. That's what we're asking you to do, because this is happening behind closed doors, and it's not talked about, and it isn't seen, and we're bringing it out into the public. So, in answer to your question, I think the next step is that make your voice heard and stand up in agreement that we can be no-kill and that we're going to be. I'm sorry we don't have any more time for questions. We have to leave the air right now. I hope these ladies can stay for just a little bit, and I'll ask them to come down in front so you can meet them and talk to them. Thank you all so much for being here. And please, if you agree right now that no more dogs or cats should die at our Pike County Animal Shelter, stand up and applaud. Thank you all very much.